what's my role? People ask me that all the time. You know, I really hold a lot of different hats on this show. I originally started by buying the underlying literary property, The Killer Inside Me from Jim Thompson, many years ago, and we've gone through several different directors, but finally we had this sort of amazing frisson with Michael Winterbottom, and he just took it, rewrote the script. Usually scripts are like 120 pages. He 86 pages. It's all about how many setups he can do and how he actually shoots the film, But I do a little bit of everything. I do the financing, I do the development, I do the little teensy weensy, for instance, one of those guys had fuzzy dice on his rearview mirror. I was like, out with the fuzzy dice, and Michael's like, nice. Obviously, coming to Oklahoma, which is the home of Jim Thompson. He grew up in Anadarko, as you well know, but he wrote most of his stuff in Texas, and he's written 20-something novels. Some of his most famous ones are The Grifters, The Getaway, After Dark, My Sweet. He wrote 2 movies for Kubrick, Passive Glory with Kirk Douglas, The Killing, Kubrick's first movie with Sterling Hayden. So there's a lot of provenance with this writer, and mostly he writes about people's inner desires taking control of themselves, but with a twist. This is really a love triangle where the main character, Lou Ford, has decided that he's not going to take it anymore. He's in a new town, a town that started out with 5,000 people, and then it became an oil boom town, and he's sort of the guy who's the fixer, and he's sick of it. And he goes to help out the guy who's the main oil baron in the town, and some people die, and he's the one who's asked to investigate the murders. So he has to kind of along the way decide who's going to live and who's going to die. We all know that you guys have a fabulous film subsidy, and so that's very important to us. But really, we went to Texas, we went to New Mexico, we went location scouting all over the place, and Michael, the director, Michael Winterbottom, really loved it here. It has everything that we need. Guthrie, have you been to Guthrie? Have you seen that the Masonic temple there? That's an example of stuff that you just never get anywhere else in the world, right? The Victorian houses, the grand public buildings, the beautiful maintained downtown streets. There's nothing like it in anywhere else in the country. I got to say, I love Oklahoma City. I've had more fun here than I've ever had in any location in my life. You guys have Rodeo Bar, you got the High-Low, you got all sorts of crazy, the Clausen Grill. You got Charlie's Records. Hey, Charlie. You guys got, it's authentic. It's a real American town. And the people make you feel that way, too. They make you feel wanted and accepted. We're looking at 2 more, actually. One of the ones that we want to do is called Music for Torching. It's an A.M. Holmes project that Buck Henry wrote. He wrote, obviously, To Die For, Joseph Heller's Catch-22, The Graduate, and also Get Smart.
Right.
Yeah. So he wrote A.M. Holmes's. He translated her book into a script, and I think this would be a perfect place to do it.
What about the other project?
The other project that we're thinking of is actually Iceberg Slim project. You know who Iceberg Slim is? He's a guy who wrote Pimp and Confessions of a Trick Baby and all that kind of stuff. And it's his most famous book, Mama Black Widow, about the transition of a sort of a black family from the plantation to the city, and how the city life disintegrates, the family structure. But this would be it, man. Well, obviously, having more crew here, the real trouble with beginning like such a large subsidy, right away, is that all these different productions will come here and they don't have crew to have local hires. And so I think that the only real thing that we've had to overcome was having to get people from out of state sometimes to fill in for some of the lesser experienced crew in Oklahoma. But I gotta say, all of the Oklahoma crew have been totally professional and as enthusiastic as possible. I do gotta say, it's really fun to hang out with Jessica Alba.
Were you there with the posters?
Actually, no. I'm sort of anti-shark myself, But we were actually watching the game at Mickey Mantle's, and we were like, "Where's Jessica?"
So how does Oklahoma City stack up to some of the other cities that you've shot projects in?
Well, in terms of the availability of liquor, right up there. But no, I think the greatest thing about Oklahoma City in terms of being a great town to do films in and just to like be here for like that many weeks is that everybody makes a real effort to get to know you, to talk to you, to hang out with you, like invite you places. They invite you to their home. They invite you like out to the lake on their boat or whatever. Like you meet some person in a bar, they're like, "Hey, we're going to the lake tomorrow." I'm like, really? It's very unusual anyplace else in the country, in the South, in the North, in the East for sure, or in the West, to have people who are willing to, just get to know you, and that's what I like about Oklahoma City. OKC is all right with me.
All right.